I want you to try something. Look around your bedroom or whatever room you're watching this video in right now and do a reality check. Is there stuff piled up on every surface? Are there papers, shoes, cups, water bottles, dirty laundry laying everywhere? Half-finished projects that you keep meaning to finish, but you can't. It feels horrible to live with this kind of functional and visual overwhelm, doesn't it? There's this shame feeling. And just when you think, okay, I gotta clean up this mess, it's like you glaze over and you freeze up. And no matter how good a to-do list that you've made for yourself, you can't do it. The time is going by, the day ends, it happened again. For people who have lived through trauma, this is so common. It's called a freeze response, and it can last for an hour or a day or sometimes years or sometimes even a lifetime. That's the kind of house that I grew up in. It was cluttered and it gradually grew to full-scale hoarder house. And it was just 6 months ago that I went back home and cleaned out the house after my stepdad died. And a lot of feelings came up about what it was like to live that way. And a lot of self-reflection came about ways that I haven't fully recovered from it. Like I've learned how to be tidy and not too cluttered, mostly. But the way that I feel about having to do things is attached to this kind of this dragging entropy that sucks me down sometimes. That is a trauma symptom. So you see cluttering behavior in families with trauma. And if one person is generating clutter, it affects everyone. So it's time for us to stop feeling ashamed and start understanding what's really going on. Clutter is a trauma symptom. Now, when you've grown up with trauma, especially in childhood, when there was neglect, chaos, criticism, yelling, hitting, not being seen, not being safe, your nervous system had to adapt, and it learned how to survive by freezing up, bracing itself. It gets stuck in a chronic state of stress, and even long after the trauma has ended, the freeze up is going on, or it can be like a tendency in yourself, a thing that you slip into when stress arises. And this is one aspect of nervous system dysregulation. It can happen to anyone. It does. Everybody gets dysregulated sometimes. Most people re-regulate naturally. But for those of us who had trauma, we can get dysregulated more easily and we can get stuck there longer. And that's why cluttering behavior attached to a freeze state can be extra common in people who have childhood PTSD. Now, dysregulation doesn't look the same for everybody. Some people lash out, some people space out, some people isolate, some people numb out with food or alcohol or binge watching. And some people, they start to live in piles, in tight little hallways, in edges of the bed, piles of clothes, piles of dishes, piles of decisions that they can't seem to make. And it's not laziness, and it's not even a personality flaw. It's not that you're just a messy person. It's that your nervous system is overwhelmed. And when your brain is dysregulated, when it's been hijacked by trauma, the smallest things can feel impossible to do. And here's the part that people miss. Trying to clean while you're dysregulated, it's kind of a setup. It's like trying to run a marathon with a broken ankle. You can force yourself if you really want to, but you could end up paying a price later. When you're dysregulated and you push through it without re-regulating, it can grind you down. It can be exhausting and draining, and it can make you hate yourself. It doesn't last, the good results that you can get from pushing yourself. Because the problem in this case, it's not the clutter and the mess. The problem, the underlying problem, is the dysregulation. So when you're trying to change your life, you're trying to turn over a new leaf, get it all fixed up and nothing works, that is a sign. What's really going on might just be dysregulation. So how do you fix that? You can't shame yourself out of it. You can't organize yourself out of it. Although a lot of people think that is how it works. They're just like, just get organized. You can't think your way out of it. What you need is a way to re-regulate, to actually bring your nervous system back into balance, to bring your brain back online, just to get clear. Isn't that a nice word? Clear, calm, present. And that's what I teach, how to get re-regulated and stay regulated so that you can finally do the things that you've been trying to do for years, even if some of those things have to be a sustained project. Because that's what happens, right? You have a good day and you burst forward, you get some things done, and then, it just sits just like that for years. I have this basket of knitting. I bought some fancy yarn like 15 years ago. It's still sitting there on a shelf in case I ever pick it up again. I'm sure some of you are going to be like, oh, you could give that to Goodwill. I know you could, but see, the cluttering thing, it doesn't matter all the things you could do. It goes into like a freeze universe. So the main tool I use and that I teach in all my courses is something that I call the daily practice. It's simple, it's free to learn. I have a free course you can learn it in, and it works. And here's what it looks like. Just sit down for 10 minutes, and it involves writing, naming and writing down your fearful and resentful thoughts and feelings. It's a very specific format, which is why I give away the free course, very short, that shows you how to do it. It's a little more than I can show you thoroughly in this video, but I want to give you an idea, okay? Because if you can name the fearful and resentful thoughts and feelings and get them on paper, they're out of your head, they're on the paper. They're not sitting there unprocessed and piling up, which is literally what happens for those of us who have trauma wounds from the past, is it can be very difficult to process intense thoughts and feelings into memories. They're like charged when they first happen, they're charged, and then they're supposed to sort of pass over and be just a memory where you can think of that memory, but you don't get all freaked out, you don't get full of adrenaline and, as if it's still happening. That's what a processed thought or feeling is. But when you have complex PTSD, it can get very backed up. It's jammed up in there. And it's funny because for 20 years, I was teaching this daily practice and calling it, it's like jammed up, all your thoughts and feelings, jammed up. I didn't know there was a scientific basis for that it's difficult to process. So that's one of the wounds of early trauma, is it can be difficult to process. Hey, I'm jumping in for just a second to tell you that you're invited to take my free daily practice course. It's short. It's easy. It's just 2 techniques that can help you release the harsh thoughts and feelings that swirl around in your mind when something triggers you, so that you can have more clarity, more focus, more ease inside. Doesn't that sound good? I want to show you how to do this. Click the free daily practice link in the second line of the description section below. It starts with the writing technique, the daily practice. It's got 2 techniques. And the fearful and resentful thoughts and emotions, you name them, you get them out on paper, not in your head anymore. And then you write what I call a sign-off. And it's basically an intention to release or a prayer, if you're so inclined, to ask a higher power to remove these fears and resentments from you. And then you don't even have to believe that it works. You just do it. And then you take a rest afterwards. Yes, a rest. It's that easy. You take a rest afterwards. It's meditation, but the easiest kind of meditation you could possibly do. No apps, no special breathing, no fancy setup. You just close your eyes and rest and let your brain and nervous system reset. I call it super simple meditation. You can use a mantra if you like. If you already have an established meditation practice, great, do that. And when you do this consistently, especially when you feel stuck and frozen or freaked out and surrounded by a mess, something starts to change. You start to feel a little more grounded. You see the piles of clothes, and instead of spinning into overwhelm or checking out, you just pick it up. You see the stack of unopened mail, and you just open it. You don't overthink it. You don't panic. You don't beat yourself up if you don't complete that today. You just do the thing because your brain is finally back online. That's what regulation feels like. And it's not that the world gets easier, it's that you get stronger. Now, I'm not saying clutter only comes from trauma. Plenty of people live in a mess for lots of reasons. But when it's chronic, when it's tangled up with shame and overwhelm and hopelessness, that's when you need to stop treating it like a motivation problem. It's quite possible that it's more of a nervous system problem, and that means it needs a nervous system solution. You don't have to live this way. You don't have to hide from your life. You don't have to wait until, you feel like it, because that day might never come. You need tools is what you need. Tools and daily habits that regulate you. And you need to stop pretending that lists and bins and calendars and beating yourself up are going to fix this. You can have a peaceful, functional home, and you can get unstuck, but it starts by getting honest and getting regulated. Hey, it's me, and real fast, if you're watching my videos and wondering if maybe past trauma is having an effect on your life today, I want to share with you a list of signs that what you're struggling with now might be connected with neglect or abuse in childhood. It's good to know this because it can help you know that what's hard for you is normal and that healing is possible. So download my Signs of Childhood PTSD quiz by clicking the top link in the description section below. If you want to learn how to do the daily practice, I teach it for free. You can find it in the second link right below this video in the description section. Try it for 30 days. Watch what happens. The pile of laundry, it's not going to go away all by itself, but neither will the shame or the fog or the dysregulation until you deal with it, until you apply your tools and start to let it be released. You have waited long enough, my friend, so start today. And if you like this video, I've got one lined up for you that I think you're going to like right here.